Hey everyone, Richard from Digital Foundry here, and today we're taking a look at Titanfall 2 running on Xbox One X. We're going to be comparing it to the PlayStation 4 Pro and PC versions running in their respective 4K output modes. And obviously this is an interesting one because back in the day the developer Respawn Entertainment was talking about its dynamic scaler going all the way up to 6K resolution. So yeah, forget 4K. You know, in theory, in less complex scenes it can actually go higher. But we've been looking at the patch and things aren't quite as they should be. So, Dave Bearton is joining me.
Right, well, it's kind of been an interesting one because going into the Xbox One X release, we expected there to be a resolution bump over PlayStation 4 Pro, and especially with the whole sort of 6K thing, image quality to be sort of consistently improved across the board. But what I've been finding is that with the Xbox One X upgrade, there are areas of the visuals that actually scale higher than on Pro, and then points where the visuals just aren't quite to the same standard.
Right, okay, so to be clear, on Pro we were looking at effectively 1440p resolution. There was dynamic scaling on that or not?
There's supposed to be dynamic scaling in play, but all the stress points we counted was 1440p.
Okay, well let's go straight for the jugular here. Resolution, Xbox One X, do we actually get 4K or better? And obviously they're talking about the stress points possibly being lower. Just how low do they go?
Well, we do get, native 4K and a little bit better up to say around, 2376p. But from what I've seen in stress points, the resolution can drop below 1440p. So the lowest pixel count we saw was around 1296p.
Right, that's a massive gulf in resolution there. And obviously, if the dynamic scaler is working the way it should be, the stress points should be lower. But I think the key point here is that when we measure the same stress points on PlayStation 4 Pro, things are slightly different.
Yeah, in terms of the resolution, it was 1440p there.
Right, okay. So late on the line there, on a specific stress point, what is Pro resolution versus the X resolution?
We've got 1440p on Pro, and then it's the 1296p on the Xbox One X.
Well, that's not quite what people are going to be expecting from this one, is it? Bearing in mind the extra compute power, extra memory bandwidth, there's other things here that are slightly odd that just don't seem correct. I mean, there is almost the sense that we're looking at some kind of incomplete beta code here because, what's going on with texture filtering, for example?
Right, well, it looks like there's just a lower level of anisotropic filtering going on the Xbox One X in general.
Right, so again, that is lower than PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yep, lower than PlayStation 4 Pro, which is kind of a double-edged sword here because in the scenes where you do get a higher resolution than Pro, the native 4K, the texture filtering robs those sort of more distant details of that extra clarity, so you don't always fully benefit of the resolution upgrade on the Xbox One X.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really important point. Image quality isn't defined alone by pixel count resolution. Texture filtering can have a huge impact on image quality, and there are scenes that I've seen here. I mean, I actually slotted in one of your head-to-heads into the review that we've done on the Xbox One X, and there were points where I had to shout over to you across the room, Dave, are you sure this is the X version? You've not got them swapped around. But it is indeed the X version here that's running at a perceptibly lower image quality, and that just isn't right from my perspective.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. When I first went into this, I was looking for areas where, possibly the visuals are upgraded that could justify why maybe we're getting a lower resolution or, worse texture filtering. And the only thing I found is that the actual geometry complexity is slightly higher on Xbox One X, so that setting now matches the PC version running maxed out.
Right,
but
okay.
Other areas, like shadow quality is still the same as PlayStation 4 Pro.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's no ambient occlusion either.
No, there's no ambient occlusion as well.
Yeah, that remains PC exclusive, so I guess the shadow cascade limitations are still in place on both consoles and no AO. And if you want to get those extra layers of bling, you need to go to the PC version.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only way you're going to get the full feature set.
Okay, so let's move on to in-game performance then. What's the score there?
Okay, so in terms of performance, obviously Titanfall 2 is a game that's targeting 60 frames per second, but one area where performance didn't quite hit that target was in the cutscene. So on PlayStation 4 Pro, performance kind of drops into the 40s and it's not quite as smooth as we get during gameplay. So this is one aspect which is actually smoothed over to quite a good degree on Xbox One X, though it's not 100% perfect. You're not getting an absolute lock at 60 frames per second.
That's interesting, but as we move into gameplay again, something weird is going on, right?
Yeah, so the opening firefight of the game, not something I expected to be massively demanding. You actually get an advantage on PlayStation 4 Pro, which actually manages to hit a solid 60 FPS for, I think pretty much most of the time, bar like a 1 FPS drop or something, whereas on Xbox One X, it's going into the 50s, so that was quite surprising. But also another thing is the resolution at this particular point is slightly lower as well on Xbox One X, which kind of, doesn't really make that much sense, suggesting that perhaps something else is sort of going on with this patch as we're noticing.
So to make it perfectly clear, in this particular area of gameplay, not only is the Pro resolving higher resolution, the frame rate is higher as well.
Yes, that's right.
So I think, definitely something weird going on here. I mean, whenever there is a console launch, there's always some little glitch that pops up. It was the same last year with PlayStation 4 Pro, where some titles were running slower than their base PS4 equivalents. That wasn't quite right. It was resolved eventually in most cases. And I guess this is kind of like the 2017 equivalent for Xbox One X, Titanfall 2, by and large. I mean, this was the question I posed to you earlier. Given the state of each version now, which one would you prefer to play?
Well, as it stands at the moment, from what we've seen so far, I'd probably go with the Pro just because the resolution appears to be locked at 1440p, so you get more consistency, I guess, in terms of scene by scene sort of image quality and performance as well during gameplay. Whereas on the X, there are moments where it's better and areas where it's not, like the texture filtering and the performance in these stressful scenes. So yeah, it could be better on Xbox One X.
Definitely looks like there's work for Respawn to be getting on with there, because this just doesn't seem quite right, and it's totally at odds with the spec of the console. It's like buying a new graphics card for your PC and finding a degradation in performance where there really shouldn't be. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there. Thanks for all your work on this one, Dave.
No worries, Rich.
And please do like and subscribe to support everything we do here at Digital Foundry. And remember, this is a 4K video, so to see the original version at source file quality, please consider supporting our Patreon. But that's all we've got for you right now. More Xbox One X analysis coming up in the coming days and weeks, so look out for that. But for now, thanks for watching.